the part that's kind of dark is, and it's probably I think it's the biggest story that happened in the last 3 weeks that we haven't talked about is the zero information models now that
No, I don't even know what that is. I haven't heard of that.
so there was a paper that came out from a group in China and at Penn State. And what they found, the whole question has been, are we running out of information to train models on? And that is synthetic data going to be useful or not? And a lot of people were saying that the more loops you ran through with synthetic data, the more degradation in knowledge and in performance you got. And what this paper showed in kind of remarkable fashion is with zero real data and no human in the loop, they created models that perform as well as some of the high-end frontier models.
No way. Wow. Like who
That
did
is,
this? Like a research center.
it was a research team in China and at Penn State, and I'll send you the paper. And
Wow.
I mean, it's a thick read, but the bottom line from it is they have figured out how to train models on no real data and it's not even that, it's the fact that there's no human in the reinforcement learning chain.
Mm,
And so if you think about that and you think about basically just setting these things off and the flywheel effect that could cause in terms of models learning and growing with no information or um, input from us. And then is that an exponential effect? That they can just keep generating more and more and more, data. It's kind of like my understanding is it's kind of like the AlphaGo analogy, where basically
mm,
instead of studying games played by humans, it just basically took the initial rules of the game and
mm,
and then just played hundreds of millions of games against itself and then learned with no human feedback what the best plays were, and it,
mm,
it
mm.
became unbeatable. And
Yep.
what they were showing was that kind of paradigm is applicable to a wide variety of things that have an objective way of scoring.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, mathematics, programming, engineering design,
Yep.
those sort of things work, that, writing and, kind of some of the more creative fields don't yet, but you got to think, how far off are we on that? And it's kind of like, I'm awed by the people who can figure this stuff out, but you
Mm.
got to, if you're not a little scared by that, you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, like possibly, but like I just look at it, there's so many problems to solve in our world. Like why would you not want unlimited intelligence thinking about this stuff, like trying to get it done? But look, yes, there's
The
negative
question is, are we
externalities.
are we going to be integral to that process? And for the first time, the answer is maybe we're not.
You know what I always think about, how like have you ever watched like sci-fi shows? I mean, even non-sci-fi, like that shows some sort of like futuristic version of the world. For that to become a reality, like this thing circling the globe, like that people are living on or something, right? Like if that's to become reality, we're never going to get there as humans, are we? Like we're going to need some sort of artificial intelligence to help us create this sort of stuff, right? There's so much more that like further that humanity can go, like so much more in my opinion.
Oh
Like
yeah.
if you just look at history and what humans have done, I think that you're not extrapolating out the exponential, which I think AI will create. Like you're just thinking more like, because it's very hard to think exponential, but you're just thinking in linear terms. But just imagine what a billion robots will enable for people. Just imagine solving like these diseases. I mean, I don't want to get too hyperbolic about that sort of stuff because like a lot of that stuff has never played out historically, like what tech has said. So I don't want to get too caught up in that. But I just think it's possible now. Like it looks like if that is reality, well then yes, these things can be tackled. These things can actually happen. So I just think there's so many problems and things to solve, um, that like this is great. This is great. Whilst there'll be scammers and there'll be negative things like these things will happen. I mean, it's almost crazy to think in these terms, and talk about it these sort of terms because we didn't even know what AI was 3 years ago, or we
Right,
like
right.
we didn't even know what this thing was. But like once you start using it and you start seeing it, you're like, everything's going to be generated on the fly. Like these things are absolutely incredible, like absolutely incredible. Like everything's going to be generated.
Your point about we need AI to do this, you know,
Yeah,
there's no question that's true. The
yeah,
question I have is, does AI need us to do it? And
yeah. Well, I
I,
honestly feel like I'm slowing the AI down when I'm coding an
yes,
application. Like so.
it's kind of like I kind of feel like the more advanced these get, I'm kind of bringing less to the table, and I've been kind of planting my flag in the sense that you know we're still the big thinkers, and we're still the ones who are kind of the analogy we had about the movie director. We're
Yeah.
still directing the movie, but is that always going to be the case? It's kind of in my non-enthusiastic, kind of dark moments about it. I think there's no guarantee that we stay as the movie director.
You are right. And, this is how I rationalize in my mind. Like, imagine sitting around for 30 years or 20 years thinking that an atomic bomb could go off, like, and being worried about it every day, during the 1900s. Like, to me, this is no different, no different, no different at all. Like, imagine sitting in your office worried that AI was going to take your job for the last 3 years. Like when everyone sort of started talking about this, like it's just a waste of time. I think you've got to flip it and you got to be like optimistic about it. That's what I choose to do. Because there's negative things to everything. This also is what sort of gets me whenever I hear the word security, like about anything, like about doing anything within an enterprise or within an application. Yes, it's important, but just because you throw the word like the word security appears does not mean you should not do anything. There is always ways to solve security, and
Right.
and there's always ways to flip things around and think more positively about them and actually like get stuff done. And that's sort of that's sort of like the mentality that I like to bring to things. I know that's not easy for everyone, and I wouldn't say that I'm positive every single day. No, no way. But like that's what I try to do. That's what I try to do.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. But there are moments where when I saw that zero information paper, I was just like, ooh, like all of
Yeah.
a sudden we're not bringing much to the table. It's like these things have the potential to, kind of get smarter on an exponential scale. And
Mm,
what are we bringing to the game at that point? And um, I don't know. Maybe it's maybe I watch too many episodes of Black Mirror, but yeah, at least in that world, it doesn't seem to play out well for us. But yeah,
mm,
in the vast majority of moments, I am unabashedly optimistic and enthusiastic. But it kind of goes back to our point about kind of being mindful of your information diet. And I think kind of wherever you fall on that spectrum, I feel like being thoughtful and being intentional about what information you are and are not consuming. I think that's the important thing.
mm,
Because I think
mm.
it's very easy to kind of doom scroll your way, you know, into a lot of bad corners by not being selective about who you're paying attention to and not being intentional about that.
Yeah. These discussions we have been the best thing for my general mental state about the whole AI inflection out of anything I've done easily. And these are the things I just want more actually. Like I've been talking to another friend in New Zealand, and we've been talking about AI business ideas and stuff. And that's another thing that I've like sort of layered on, which I like thoroughly enjoy. You know, like he believes as well. You know.
Before we, I think there's
Yeah.
a really, it may not be where you want to be, but I think you're having a huge influence on others in a positive way. And it's like the fact
Right.
that I've seen the posts that kind of draw people saying, yeah, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm,
And the DMs you get, and it's like,
yeah.
it,
That is true. That's true. Yeah.
you know, it's kind of like you don't want to do it to your detriment, but I think also being mindful of the impact you're having on others who are kind of saying like, this feels like the way I should be going, and this is giving me a way on how to do it.
Yeah, no, you are so right there, actually. Like, you know, I came up with this concept about the full stack AI professional. I think this is the way that a Power BI, you know, analyst should gravitate towards, right? Like, you know, because you can do so much more now. You can build apps, you can like build like AI automations, you can, you know, and so you are right. Like some people I think resonate. Definitely. Like I had to tell you, I had this amazing call with someone who's actually was big into Power BI trainer. We've been chatting back and forth in comments and things like that, and we got on a call because he really wanted to show me something that he had vibe coded and had been doing with these AI tools. It was incredible. It was incredible what he had built, and I think that like I kind of probably got him into it with some of the things that I was saying. Like maybe that's how I sort of sparked the interest initially, and it was like a Power BI learning tool, but it was like a virtual world learning tool. Like you went on like an adventure to learn Power BI.
Wow.
And I was like, and he was showing it to me. I was going, this is so creative, so creative. I could have never dreamed of this. And I think it had opened his mind about what's possible. He's now rearranging his business around, you know, he's going to build AI apps for people now, as well as doing Power BI training. I also said, look, if you've got a place I can sponsor this app, I'll Enterprise DNA will be the first sponsor, you know? And I was like, shit, okay, maybe we are. Maybe like we are impacting some people. So I was like, even though the posts don't go very far in a lot of cases like they used to, or if I mention something about Power BI or Microsoft, but it is impacting some. So like you are right. Like I probably shouldn't be like too negative, but I'll blame my late night coding on that.
Well, the other thing that's been really encouraging is, I mean, we started these, it was just like we were doing them anyway. And so you were like, well, we might as well record them.
Yeah,
And, but one of the interesting things, and I don't know if you've had this happen as well, I've gotten a lot of messages from people who are like, hey, I'd like to be on that.
that's
Um,
great. Yeah.
and
I love
it's like
that.
I was almost thinking like we should talk about, because there's part of me that's kind of like, hey, this is my time with Sam. It's like, but at the same time, there are people who are, I think, very much in the same mindset who are
Yeah,
doing some fascinating stuff. And I kind of feel
yeah.
like opening this up and having some maybe we just do it a little more frequently and we kind of keep these and then have like a second series where people just kind of rotating groups come in and we just
Mm.
talk about what they're doing
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well, I'm so for it. Like I was thinking yesterday as I was walking the dog, I was like, man, I just want to talk about this stuff more. I just want to talk with more. I just want to talk about it all, like pretty much every day. I want to see what people are doing. I want to be like ear to the ground, because so much is changing so fast. It's hard to keep up with everything. Like everyone's got new ideas and new perspectives and stuff. So I'm all for it. I just, I don't know what you think. I just don't want any structure. I don't want to be like this podcast that turns into like, it's got to be at this time. It's got to
right.
have these elements to it. I literally just want to show up and chat like what we do. That would be that would be my only thing about doing that. But I'm so all in. I'm like, I'd love to have group discussions with people doing interesting things. Love to.
One of the things that's become like a kind of an ironclad thing for me is no sponsorships, no financial involvement with anybody. That
Yep.
basically if I recommend something, it's because I like it and I think it's cool. And
Yep.
it's something I use and it's helpful. And so, I'm constantly now, I think when you get up to a certain number of followers, it's like people see that as valuable. And so it's kind of like, you get a lot of queries about, would you if we, would you do a sponsored post? And my answer is always no. But
Yep.
what I do is I reach out to people who are doing stuff that I think is cool. And, one of them was Pipe Dream, the folks who are making it really simple to connect your MCP stuff together. And I just wrote to the folks there and said, hey, you know, I'm not looking for anything. I'm not trying to sell anything, but I just want to say what you guys are doing is awesome, and it's
Mhm.
helped me a tremendous amount. And so, and they said, hey, we're really thrilled to hear that it's having that sort of impact, at the individual level. And, we'd love to come talk to you about that and just, kind of talk about how you're using it. And I thought, like there's a guy down in Chile who he's the guy who actually informed me about Open Router. And, he
Yeah.
didn't have any ties to it, but he's like, you should check this out.
Hmm.
And I kind of feel like, kind of bringing smart people in who are kind of on the same wavelength and just doing other stuff with the same tools, I think we could really spark some interesting discussion and
Totally,
kind
totally,
of
totally.
just get our wheels turning.
Yeah, 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 no, totally. I think, totally for our own benefit. Like that's how,
Oh yeah.
like I just want to learn. I just want to learn and learn more and see because like, you're, I haven't even started with MCP yet. There's just that much. There's that much you can do and that much you can learn. Like, yeah, I should do. I'm just so into these other things at the moment. So the more we can learn, the better for us. Like, yeah, I mean,
It's like what are the two of us not playing with that we should be?
totally, totally. I'm all in. I'm all in on bringing other people on, but let's just make it convenient for us and
Yeah.
no financial incentives or marketing. It's just like total
No.
vibing, all conversation, just like what we're doing now. Like that would be, I think this is just like the best mix for us and for anyone who's tuning in.
Are you getting good reaction on the shorts?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, they definitely shorts get more views than any other form of content right now. Our YouTube actually has finally ticked up a little bit, like a little bit. Like it's been this like downward thing for a long time, and then but
Yeah.
I've also finally got the team just being way more consistent. So we're posting shorts every day. So
Yeah. I really
so
like them. Yeah, it's funny.
I do too. Like they pop up for me all the time. It's about staying consistent, isn't it? It's like, but I mean, I don't even care. I don't even care about that stuff. Like, I just want to chat. Like,
Yeah.
as we've discussed, like anytime you get caught up in analytics and this kind of stuff, it just sucks the life out of you, and it's just like
Yep.
no
Yep.
enjoyment. Like, just absolutely no enjoyment. So I don't even care about the numbers. Like, if we're just chatting more, I'm sure it will go well, but I don't even care. I honestly do not even care. Two other big things that happened in these announcements was there was one announcement from Google about diffusion models for text. Did you see that?
Oh,
So
yes.
you know how images they're called diffusion models because they appear all at once. And so text historically comes out to you word by word, like in a stream. But it looks like the next phase is potentially this diffusion where it just appears out of nowhere and it's faster than what even is considered fast today. And I was like,
Instantaneous.
holy crap, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Like just seeing text appear for like out of nowhere, just appear like diffuses. I mean, it's just I mean, I don't even
Well,
know what to think. It's just like so mind blowing.
there's another part of that, which is the speech to speech stuff that's coming out. Because what it's been in the past has been text to speech, then
Yeah.
speech to text,
Yeah.
or
So speech to
speech
text,
to text, and then
like
text to speech.
transcribes and then text to speech. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's just speech to speech.
Yeah. Right.
There's
Wow.
no text transcribing step in there. And so the combination of diffusion models and the speech to speech means you can have almost instantaneous conversations
Yes. Yes.
with AI.
The
And
speed
one of
matters.
the things,
Speed matters. Like inference, even though Flash is super fast now, right? Like even faster inference just means AI will be feel more omnipresent when you're talking to it and sort of like in everyday life.
well, and what they showed with the example I saw was real-time translation.
Yeah. Oh, with the goggles, with the glasses. Sorry. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's not like, it is now where somebody talks, the AI translates, and you read what, it says. It's
Yeah.
you can just talk directly with somebody who speaks a totally different language.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
remarkable. Yeah, and
Totally.
that's going to happen, soon. It may already be feasible.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that's just mind-blowing stuff. The other big thing that's come out recently is this thing called Codex. So there is also one, Google released one as well, but it's only a wait list or something. I try to sign up. I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, Codex is this AI agent operating system within ChatGPT, and what it does. Do you know? Have you heard about it? Did you have
I've
you
heard
seen it?
about it, but I haven't used it, and I don't really understand it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. So it's like I'm like all in the dev world, so like I know how these things work now. So when you're developing an application, you're really just developing files that aggregate up to create the app, right? Like that's what you're doing. And then the place to host those files to manage those files is GitHub. That's what GitHub is. It's where you manage your application files. And so an application you might build might have 200 files, right? Like in all these different folders, and that's what application architecture is. It's like how you architect your app well. And a lot of these AI dev tools, they architect in best practice ways. Like a lot of people have different views on that, but pretty good, pretty good. But what Codex does within ChatGPT, it's one click. It's like one click, like Operator or Sora away, right? You go one click. You connect up certain repos in GitHub, right? So you can. So I've got five hooked up right now, like five of my repos in GitHub, like my apps, five of my apps. And what it does is it's an agent, and it's a chat experience, like a chat GPT experience. And you'd say, okay, go and look at this app and tell me how I can refactor this file and make it better. And then we'll go and do the job. It will go and do a task. And then it will come back and it will tell you what you should do. And then if you agree, you click it once and then it pushes that to GitHub. It pushes the change to GitHub. The cool thing is you can do 10, you can do 20 of these things all at once. It's literally just you chatting away. I mean, you could do it via, like I do it via voice, right? Like I'm just saying, go look at this file, go check this. How do I optimize this? How do I? So it's, and you're setting off these agents to go and look at it, do it, provide, come back and, it's like it's an employee. It's an employee, right? Like it's an AI employee. I mean, I only just started using it the last like 48 hours or so. And I am amazed. And there is differing reports over whether everything they do is actually that good or not. But the thing that stuck out to me is this is the new way of working. This is the way of working that is coming in all sorts of different verticals of work, right? This is just the very first part of it because there is absolutely nothing stopping you from connecting up to your email client or connecting up to an analytics client and just doing these jobs, just doing these tasks, and then sending the AI to go and grab that data, run the SQL, create the visualization. This is what the future of work is going to look like. I know we were quite skeptical once upon a time about AI agents, but this is
Yeah.
it. This is what's going to happen. It might not look exactly like Codex, but this is us managing a whole range of agents doing all of these little things for us. Like this is a reality that I see. It is already a reality. Like Codex was my first entry into the way of how to. I was like, oh, wow, this is actually quite cool. Like this is actually a better way of working in a lot of cases. It doesn't take the human out at all. I think the human becomes
Mhm.
more important because I have to know what the hell it's doing on my
You're
application.
ma-
Like I
you're
need it.
managing 20 of these,
Yeah, but
agents.
I can't just click yes, do this. Like I need to know. I need to understand. But I can do so much more. That's what I'm finding. Anyway, I just thought that is a micro example of what's to come. I'm kind of blown away by it actually. Like just and then it just embeds my view of how ChatGPT is gonna crush it going forward. Crush it. That is just one vertical. They could do it for like every vertical in business, like everything, marketing, finance, like analytics. Like they could become the center of the universe for all of this stuff. So it's
Mhm.
fascinating. Absolutely, absolutely fascinating. This is what Copilot will become, no doubt, no doubt about it. It's what they have to become because ChatGPT is going to crush them if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the question around that is A, is it going to be any good? And B, what's the value of integration? You know, that how much is kind of being embedded in Microsoft a plus versus a minus? And you know, this is where I kind of think I kind of feel like I'm floating further and further out of the mainstream because you know, and for 30 years I was in government and it was like being with Microsoft and Google was everything. Like you couldn't get something approved, you know, through the AI chain. It wasn't, you know, kind of tied to, you know, kind of a big enterprise.
Yeah.
And, you know, now kind of being out on my own, it's like I approve everything I do, you know, and so I'm not tied to anybody. And, you know,
Mm,
it's created a different mindset and it's helpful to me to kind of be reminded that you know kind of most of the world operates in the way I used to, which is they are constrained by what the organization lets them do.
mm,
And you know that's where I think you know the open AIs and the Microsofts are going to really leverage power, not so much in the fact that you need them, but
mm.
that your employer thinks you need them.
Do you actually see a future where that could change?
You know, I don't know. You know, people are risk averse and change averse. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned the past few years, that's the lesson.
Mm,
And that, you know, even when there are better options out there, it's you know, the devil you know has a lot of attraction. And particularly in the corporate world and the government world where, you know, kind of going out on a limb for something innovative um, is the kind of thing that will get you fired a lot more often than it will get you promoted. And
yeah.
I think in those environments, I think, you know, that's where Microsoft and Copilot, you know, it's kind of like I look at it and say, it's kind of inferior to what I'm using, you know, that
Mm,
I want to be out there using the best stuff that's out there. And you know, I realize for most people that's not realistic.
yeah.
Um,
Well, like I said my view earlier, like I don't think there's any disrupting these big tech firms. They at the moment, like I just can't see it. I cannot see it.
Yeah, and you may very well be right, and I think this is where I'm living in kind of my own world that is not really representative of too many other people's.
Yeah. These
You know, one of the
there's
things we haven't talked about that I wanted to
yeah.
raise is I am finding there's one thing we haven't even mentioned it, I don't think. The memory and the way in which these models are now getting to know you is an enormous unlock. You know, that I am finding that when I interact with these models regularly, that the extent to which they know me and they know my patterns, they know my preferences, um, it is remarkable how good the responses have been getting in terms of the suggestions it will make proactively based on what it knows I like to do. And that is where you know I had kind of an interesting post and discussion where I said you know it was a poll and I said do you treat AI more as a coworker or more as a tool? And what I was trying to test was there were four choices. It was like tool and it's had minor impact, tool major impact, coworker minor impact, coworker major impact. And the hypothesis I had was that people treating it as a coworker would have a much it would be much more likely that they would say major impact. And that proved to be true statistically. And it's not surprising, but it's interesting to me in the sense that I am really all in on, you know, kind of the collaborative coworker mentality toward my AI models. And you know, there were kind of some of the informed skeptics I was talking about were like, is that a good idea? You know, is like and they raised some good points, you know, some good points about governance and some good points about risk. But I wonder what your experience was in terms of coding and the type of stuff you're doing. Have you seen the memory have a big impact so far?
Look, I haven't like had a oh wow moment just yet with it, but I do know. I've been of the view that this is like one of the killer features of AI. It's the killer lock-in feature, right? Again, what ChatGPT is sort of first out of the blocks with it, and that's why they're gonna they're gonna capture you, and you just be so hard to leave, because you'll find it just so helpful, particularly when you're 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the line, right? Like, um, yeah, it's just such a lock-in type feature. And I kind of can see the same thing with like Copilot, right? Like if Copilot sorted that out, then again, you're just trapped with Microsoft. You're just never going to leave Microsoft. Like there's no reason why you couldn't do that at an enterprise level versus an individual level as well. All of this stuff just aggregates up to my view. Like big tech is just going to get bigger. Like this is why. This is these little triggers, these little things. Like there's just it just makes them so much more powerful, like on an ongoing basis. But yeah, no, look, I haven't look, I know it's useful. Just haven't had an oh wow moment about it, but I've had many other oh wow moments. Like I talk, I'm not even joking. Like I talk to the AI daily just to get thoughts out. Like
Mm,
if there isn't if my wife doesn't want to listen to me, or my dad doesn't want to listen to me, or like I've got no one to talk to about some idea that I've got, which I usually have in the morning. Like I'm just like talking it out with the AI just for fun. That's been like quite a revelation for me. Like I'm not a friend. I'm not friends with my AI, which it seems like a lot of people are turning into, but I just find it insanely useful getting thoughts out, and then they get tracked, and they're probably getting saved into memory. I don't even know. I don't even see it. But the oh wow that I have like on a regular basis because of what I'm doing is how I am literally talking. I am talking and building an application. Like I am that is the biggest oh wow moment for me on almost a daily basis. Like I am building something. Well, I'm building many things actually, which would have cost $100,000 like 2 years ago, and I am literally just talking to my computer. Like that. That is just I just can't believe it. And what that means, medium and long term, is just crazy. It is amazing. Like I would like I think we've developed internally, I don't know, 6 or 7 apps so far. Some of them have to be improved, no doubt. But we've got three we've released. I mean, we could easily, and by the way, like what we're finding is that we can actually scale up our app development like quite quickly now because we've solved a lot of hard things with AI development. Like we've
mm,
solved how to make sure that your formatting is always good when you get an AI response, no matter what model you're using. We have solved, like, we've got all these scripts that we can use for every single main AI provider. And like API call that you can make. So it's just like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Like just crazy to think how much we could actually build in 1, 2, 3 years from here, right? Like we're gonna totally redesign what enterprise DNA even is. Honestly, that's my oh wow moment. More so than the memory thus far.
and I think about that. And I think, that's something that I don't see anybody else doing. It's like you kind of
Is
got a
is it because
path
of
that,
LinkedIn's filtering, or is it because no one is actually doing it? That's what I
man,
mean. Because I don't see
that's a
anyone
good
else doing it as
question.
well. I don't see anyone else doing it as well. I'm just like, I can't believe it. Like I've been talking about this for 6 months. Like this is so big. This is so huge. Like
Yeah.
how is people not how is no one actually doing how is this not being picked up and like a new wave of this is happening? I don't know. What do you think?
Marvin, I mean, it's interesting because we're kind of like we're kind of like funhouse mirror twins, in the sense that yours is on the development side, mine's on the analysis side, and I am just crushing through analysis, like, you
Mm,
know, just putting large data sets up, analyzing, cleaning them, analyzing them, restructuring them, doing visualizations and, mapping and stuff that I've never been able to do, or if I've been able to do it, it's taken days, and now I can do it with a voice command. And it's like I look at that and I think, like, oh my God, like if I were 25 years old coming out in, with that skill set into the market,
Mm,
what does a career look like for somebody like who can do that? And, you know,
yeah.
I think about it and I think, you know, it's like I come across these like scattered people, like the guy I mentioned in Chile, he's doing it. You know, there are a few other people who are doing it, but it's like all the tools are out there. Like it's all right there. Like it's not speculative. It's like you can bolt these things together tonight and start doing it. And it's like
Mm.
the fact I think kind of I look and go, why aren't people doing this? And you know, I think you look at the same thing and think, you know, why isn't everybody I talk to, you know, kind of in this same mode? And the answer is I
Mm.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's information diet is one. Like, no
Yeah.
doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. It's being information. The reality that a lot of seeing online is very different to like what is actual reality in my opinion. Um, Look, your point about starting a career with these tools, this is undoubtedly the best time to start a career. Like undoubtedly, like anyone who talks about that trope that this is what all these like graduates going to do is stupid. I'm telling you, this is the best time. You can build apps, you can do analysis, you can run automations, you can connect to AI APIs, and you can do it with English language, like natural language. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is the best time to be adding value in any business than right now. Like, it is unbelievable the value you can create. And it's not like 40 and 50-year-olds are going to do this, right? Like it's going to be this new wave of younger people in a lot of cases. Like, we are probably quite rare. Yeah. If you go on, I don't know, maybe LinkedIn is like an older crowd. Do you think that? Do you think LinkedIn is maybe older?
Yeah, I think probably more so than Twitter. Yeah.
That is possibly one of the things actually. Because if you, it's funny. It's funny. I was talking to someone about this the other day. Another good call I had. Most of the people who are doing vibe coding are actually young on YouTube and stuff. Like they're young people. It's because it's a new it's so new. It's new technology and stuff, and you're not sort of like weather beaten from like being an enterprise for like 20 years. But the problem that a lot of these people have is they have no freaking idea about business. Like they just have absolutely no idea. I mean, whether that's a like totally negative thing is like not. I'm saying, I'm just saying that's probably like reality. But whether they sometimes it's good to have a blank slate, in terms of like ways of doing things. But that's maybe why we don't see it that much, is because it is like it's mainly being done by a younger crowd right now. Like, and they're and not a lot of them are building for enterprise in a lot of cases. Like that's the angle that I want to take. Like I'm showing how you can do it within the enterprise, how you can, that's enterprise DNA. Like this is how you can do data analysis, data analytics with agents at scale. Like this is how you can generate marketing and content at scale. This is how you can build voice into your business. Like these are the sort of things that I'm sort of focused on. But maybe maybe the younger crowd don't have sort of maybe the credibility, or like I don't know, like maybe the older generation who are in management areas within businesses and decision makers, they just like look and think, oh, what do they know? Like maybe that's sort of something that is at play as well.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like what we talked about last time, which is, you know, kind of the mix you've got to have of domain knowledge and
Mm,
technical skills and communication skills. And I kind of feel like it's almost like when you look in sports, you know, that it's kind of like you get these really young athletes coming out of college and physically they're like superhuman, but they don't
mm,
really understand the game that well. And then you've
yeah,
got the people at the ends of their careers who understand the game perfectly, but don't
mm,
have the physical skills they used to. And it's kind of like there's this short period when you kind of have close to your peak physical skills and you also know enough to make good use of them. And
yeah,
I kind of feel like, you know, that is a rare place to be, you know. And
mm,
I mean, it's funny for me because, you know, last week I turned 60 and, you know, it's kind of like I feel like I understand the game really well, but, you know, there's a difference between being, you know, being 60 and being 35.
yeah,
Um, and so, you know, I think it's kind of like the intersection of where you are in your career. There is this sweet spot, I feel like, of people who have an openness and a willingness and that risk taking that you have when you're younger, and but also have enough domain knowledge and understanding and credibility to really
Mm,
make use of it. And it's like
yeah.
those people are crushing it.
Yeah, look, I think so. I think that's if you. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. Thanks.
Not. I'm not sure. Did you celebrate, or was it kind
Yeah,
of
I was
like,
I was
man, I'm
coughing
60?
up a lung when on the couch with a fever, unfortunately. So the answer is no.
Well, you definitely have a very sharp and innovative mind. And someone who embraces technological change,
Thanks.
like a lot better than probably 99.9% of 60-year-olds, I would imagine. Like pretty much, like I mean, I'm only 40. Probably haven't seen as much as you, but definitely have always been on the part of the curve where I've been like an embracer of like what new things you could do. Always, 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 even through my
Yeah,
20s and stuff.
yeah,
But anyway, like it comes back to there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity for anyone of any age, but even particularly young people. Like, man, you can just plug yourself into AI, learn anything, add a value faster than you ever had before. Like, I mean, when I started, when I was 22, like I spent 6 months learning how like an Excel spreadsheet worked. Like 9 years ago when we started with Power BI, I mean, you had to invest like 3 to 6 months to learn Power BI. Like these days, you can spend 3 to 6 months and you can be whipping up apps with AI embedded into them, like doing analytics, like doing these incredible automations. Soon you'll be able to build agents. Like, I mean, that's just amazing. That is so
yeah.
amazing.
Well, I think, kind of when we're talking about that sweet spot, I mean, you're right there. It's like you've got that kind of enthusiasm and the openness, but you've seen enough and done enough, you know how to make
Mhm.
it happen. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like that's a powerful combination. And, kind of like I think, going back to, our earlier point about, kind of I think the influence that people in that zone can have
Mm.
is never been
Yeah, no, you're
greater.
probably right. Like I could probably have more influence now if than I could when I was 30 doing Power BI, right? Like even though I think we influenced quite a lot of people back then, like we can do the same, for this next wave. Like I've landed on that months ago, like when I, I've been out there for 6 months or so, just sort of saying this is the new wave, like full stack
Right.
AI professional, like this is the new wave, no doubt about it, all in. I've been saying that. And yeah, it's a slow burn, but I'm pretty confident that everyone will sort of catch up. But one thing back on that, like I've been on this shit. AI is going to ruin my business. It's going to just what are we going to do? To now, I'm like way up here, going holy
Yeah.
crap! Like I'm in the perfect position. I'm not going to die wondering. This is the next 10 years of my life. I'm gonna AI. This is gonna AI is a 10 year um, evolution that's going to happen. There's going to be so many opportunities. I'm just personally not going to miss out. I'm just going to give myself every opportunity to succeed in this next sort of 10 years and try set up myself and the family for however long, right? I know not everyone's like that, but that's just my mentality right now. Like and I think, look, I believe it. You gotta in life, you sometimes just got to believe in something, and, and really just go for it. And that's sort of where I'm at. Even though it's incredibly disruptive to what we did in the past and what was done in the past, but that's technology. That's life. Like things change, and you got to embrace the new. And I think that's what's happening. That is what is happening right now. And so that's how I'm sort of looking at it. And hopefully, like I truly hope that we can actually influence people positively. Like there is a lot of negative people out there, right? Like so if you're on the other side and you're positive without hyping, like you're just generally optimistic. Like I never want to be just hype on on
Right.
on stuff. I want to be moderate in my enthusiasm and optimism and really showcase the way. I've never really done like a video saying, look what I could one shot. Look at this thing that I could one shot. I've never really done that because I just believe that is bullshit. Like I don't believe that adds value to anyone personally. I believe in doing something over 20 to 30 hours and showing real value, like showing how you can really make a difference, how you can build a new product in your business, how you can totally change a workflow, how you can scale, your efforts 5 times, 10 times. Like that's more what I've always been about. And that was what I was like with Power BI and why I thought Power BI
Yeah.
was such an opportunity. And that's kind of what I want to be in the new wave. Like that's what I believe in the new wave and what I want to showcase in the new wave. So yeah, I think that's a good story. Like I think that's a good place to be.
I think so too, and it's like, I think there's so much kind of talking head hype that,
Mm,
to kind of come across the people who are saying, "Hey, look, this isn't hype. Like, I'm doing it right here. Like,
mm,
and I can show you. It was kind of like, you know, when I had that kind of revelation about the agents, and it was like I built that little assistant that puts my daily briefing together, and
yeah,
it's
it's
like
so cool.
that is not like a toy that I did for learning purpose. I mean, I learned a ton, but that is literally the first thing I read every day.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like that sets my day in motion now. And it's a really important part of, kind of getting my day acclimated around, what are my goals for the day? What are the commitments I've got? Kind of where's this day headed? And, the
Mm,
fact that AI does that for me while I'm sleeping is really cool. And it's
yeah.
kind of like it's a practical thing. It's not a huge thing. I mean, yeah, I'm built some, commercially viable product here, but I
Mm,
built something really useful. And it's like that's
mm,
where I think the fire comes from, which is saying, hey, like it's not a matter of looking at these things and saying, this is hype. It's like this stuff that's helping me in my daily world, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's same for you. It's like, you're
Totally.
building these apps and some of them, you know, some of them may be great and some of them may not be, but even the small ones you're building, it's like they do something for you that's useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And this is the agency that AI is going to provide like across the enterprise, across in like individually. It's do you find it funny how our view on agents has changed so quickly?
oh, I mean, I'm
I
loud
think
wrong
it,
sometimes.
it was only
And
like 3 or 4 months ago we were like, I'm not so sure about these agents. It just doesn't seem that obvious. But like I've seen enough now to think that the guy, this is actually going to happen. We're going to be managing agents. We are.
I mean, I remember when Netflix got rid of the red envelopes, and I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. And so I mean, I am loud freaking wrong sometimes, and
Yeah.
you know, and agents was one of them because it wasn't that I didn't see the concept as being valuable. I just thought AI is not to the point where it can be reliably right enough
Yeah.
to do that. And what I didn't realize is it it doesn't have to carry the full weight. That we've talked about like
Mm.
Zapier and other places for 10 years they've been building these workflows and all AI has to do is pull the right one off the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not that hard. It's not the fact that a lot of it can be done with mini models, you know, says to me that that's not a super challenging part of the process. That if you've got the workflows built and it's just a matter of calling the right one,
Mm.
we've already got the technology to do that. And
Totally.
that's what I got wrong, because I thought
Yeah.
AI was going to have to carry the whole weight, and
No,
it,
the
it
the
doesn't.
human in the loop is so crucial. The human sets it off. The human checks it. Like, that's what these coding things have done anecdotally as well. But the interface is changing. Like the interface and the breadth of what these things can do, particularly with these connections into tools, like you're saying there is a very, very near future. I mean, you can already do it now with Codex, right? Like I was voice typing these things to do for Codex to do. Go and look at this, go and look at that. So I have no doubt and soon enough that I'll be able to just do that from my phone. Like I'll be able to talk to the voice and say, "Hey, can you please go and run Codex and go and look at this file and tell me what's going wrong?" Like you could your website's down and you could ask Codex to go and have a look. Okay, like what's erroring out in our web application. That this is absolutely the future and it's technically possible now. It's just these big players are going to build the interfaces to actually make this like really feel seamless. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it is undoubtedly a better way of working. right? Like I I do not agree with anyone who thinks that this is bad for work. Like I think this is all positive for work. Like, a lot of just time wasting, boring stuff that is just like not that rewarding is going to be done by these agents. Like I just think and we're just going to be monitoring them and managing them. I just think that's exciting. Like that is a great business future, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just being able to, yeah, I've got a book, a Python book. It's called Automate the Boring Stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like that's exactly the mentality I have now. Is just
Mm,
all the boring stuff, just offload it, automate it, offload it. And
yeah.
the
Yeah.
tools are just getting so good to, snap that automation together, so much faster. I mean, it used to be like, I don't know if you played with if this then that. Um,
A few
it
times,
was a,
never
it
got
was a
far.
tough, it was a for me at least, it was a tough road. It was like I could never get it to do exactly what I wanted. It was like you could kind of see the framework and kind of where it was headed, but I never quite got it to work. And
Mm,
now it's like, you can just snap those things together in minutes sometimes.
yeah.
Uh,
If you just think about this trend, like just think high level this trend, it's going to probably play out over 2 to 4 years, okay? Of AI agents gonna just think about AI agents are gonna plug in and almost do every little thing in in business, like right, they're like everything little workflow, and even workflows we haven't even thought about right now. Like
right.
there's immensely more workflows that can do. Just think about how much opportunity is in that. That is just insane, absolutely insane. The entire economic engine and how stuff gets done is going to have some sort of agent plugged into it. Like it's obviously a massive opportunity for the big players, and that's why they're going to crush it. But there's also all of this niche opportunity as well. Like one of the things I've realized with voice, right? Voice is presenting an opportunity. Voice applications are presenting an opportunity for businesses and for anyone to actually get unique data that they weren't able to access before. Like just think about you're able to get people's thoughts about a product. You're able to help people in a moment and then understand what they're struggling with. You're able to track a young person's like education through time. There's all these unique data sets that didn't exist before that are now possible. They're truly possible. And even that, just that alone is a huge opportunity,
Mhm.
in this agent world, right? Like you could be collecting conversations. I mean, I'm exploring one of these opportunities myself. Is like imagine just collecting all of these like service conversations or issues that people are having with their appliances or their cars or something, and then enabling that information to get back to the service departments or to vendors who can supply these things. Like these interactions never were possible before, but you could have agents running this whole operation, like do this, collect this conversation, send it to that lead. Like there's an entirely new way of working opening up that is just so many opportunities. Like there's not like the big players themselves will not be able to do every single niche yet. They won't. Like there's just opportunities everywhere.
It's like we're already at 2.5 hours, so we should probably wrap up pretty soon. But
Yeah.
there was something I heard that ties in exactly to that about why OpenAI paid $3 billion for Windsurf. And it's like somebody said, well, if their agents and everything are so good and their codex is so good, why couldn't they just built that themselves? And the answer is they totally could have. I don't think it has anything to do with the technical merit of Windsurf. I think what it is that they bought the rights to the data that collects every day about what people like you are doing vibe coding and what models you're using and what techniques you're using, what problems you're having. It's like
What you're accepting from the AI versus what you're not accepting, because I don't think they
exactly,
see that visibility.
exactly. And it's like, and who's using the OpenAI models versus Claude versus Gemini. And it's
Mm.
like, think about think about the fact they paid $3 billion for that. And that now seems cheap to me. It's like I was thinking about it. I was like, man, it seems like a lot for something that you would think a company with that kind of intellectual firepower could just build themselves. Why would they do that? And then, you know,
Mm.
thinking about it, it's like, oh, they didn't buy the technology, they bought the data.
Yeah, oh, look, I think I agree with that. Yep, that's one reason. Another reason is purely financial. I mean, I think Windsurf were on a $50 million run rate or something. Like they had $50 million ARR, and like the charts are vertical. Like like it's going to 100, it's going to be 200, it's probably going to be 300. Like so they've bought revenue too.
Mm.
So and what's also happening is like OpenAI's valuation is $300 billion. So they're buying this stuff with equity. They're buying it with equity. They've given away 1% of their company for $50 million of revenue today, which could turn into 200 million of revenue like in 2 years' time. So like they're not giving cash to these guys. Like they're everyone just wants to be on the OpenAI rocket ship right now. So like that's how they gave Johnny Ive like $6 billion for whatever they're
Right.
doing with him. Like it's probably just all equity. Like they've probably given
What do
him
you think that's
2%.
going to be? What do you think that?
I don't know. I think it could be multiple things, honestly. Um, I'm telling you, like, I would love a device. Like Apple are so far behind at the moment. It's a joke. Like, it's honestly a joke. They are an embarrassment.
They're not even in the conversation.
I mean, it's just embarrassing. Like how that big a company can't even get like a transcription that like service that works. It's totally embarrassing. But I would love a device that just has ChatGPT on it that I could give to my kids. I really do. That doesn't have like every other app that will get them distracted. That is just like a pure communication learning device that could have a ChatGPT app, but maybe also some other AI apps potentially. Like, um, so yeah, I would buy it tomorrow. I honestly would honestly buy it tomorrow. Buy one for my kids. Like I use ChatGPT with the kids like all the time. Like we did quizzes last night going to bed. Cooper wants to learn about like airplanes, so we like talk to the AI voice about airplanes. Like this is some cool stuff. This is just a new way of like learning for kids.
Yeah.
Um, and I would love to have all the distractions of an iPhone gone and just like
Yeah.
a device that has ChatGPT on it. So yeah, and then getting back to Windsurf, the other thing is so Windsurf are going well in the enterprise. So a lot of so the ChatGPT don't have like they have this ambition to build like these coding agents that it didn't even they want to sell them for like $10,000 a pop or something like um so it's pretty hard to do that from scratch, like without an IDE that people can actually use. So maybe they've got something in the works behind the scenes that can plug into Windsurf that is like a full-on developer that they can charge $10,000 for, but they've already like Windsurf's already in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're already into a lot of these enterprises. They're already getting sign off from a lot of these enterprises. So like, I mean, that's just another layer I think is on there. Um, the other thing about these, like this, and I've said this for some time, there is going to be 10 times the amount of developers, 10 times than there was
Yeah.
historically. And so that becomes just generally a huge market that is using these tools. These tools are going to become the center of the universe for this entire ecosystem, like new marketplaces, etc. Like I said this about like Lovable and Cursor. Like these places could become marketplaces. They could become marketplaces for a whole lot of other apps and just make it even easier to build your app. So there could be monetization opportunities there also down the line if that's what they
Mm.
want to do. I don't know if you saw this as well, but Microsoft made Copilot, the Copilot IDE in Visual Studio Code open source. Did you read that? Did you see that?
I think what you might be referring to is the GitHub Copilot is
GitHub
open
Copilot.
source. Yeah.
I think it's what goes into VS Code. So what I
Oh.
think so it's the Copilot. It's kind of like Copilot in VS Code is the equivalent of Cursor or Windsurf, but they've been absolutely crushed by these other guys. They've been absolutely
Mm.
crushed when like all these tools are is like a copy of VS Code. It is a fork, what is called a fork of VS Code, which is open source with an AI layered into it. Like it basically is GitHub Copilot. So something has gone totally awry at Microsoft where they've just been their lunch has been eaten by these guys when they were absolutely dominant before this point.
Yeah.
So people like I read that it's sort of like a classic Microsoft strategy where they're just like going to give it away for free now and try and halt the progress of these other guys of these other players by bringing a whole lot of
They're playing
competition
the
into the
deep seek
market.
role.
Yeah, somehow like that. I mean, it's just classic Microsoft, isn't it? I've heard that they're giving like Fabric away for free. Like that's what they've decided to do. Like in a lot of cases, like um,
Really?
yeah, they're just giving like 1 year free to Fabric, to like large enterprises to encourage more signups. I heard that the other day.
Interesting.
Um, so it's sort of like their sort of classic strategy. I mean, they make so much money that what does it matter? It's just like one product. Like it's better off just giving away for free rather than letting a competitor outcompete you and try
Mm.
to dominate you. They are a very cutthroat organization when you really think deeply about it. I mean, you don't get to be worth trillions of dollars without being cutthroat. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't. You don't. Satya is the perfect person to sit above that and pontificate about this like beautiful agentic world that they're going to bring in. When they're viciously competing and behind the scenes. It's quite funny.
But your point about Apple is interesting. It's the first time we've mentioned them in the time we've been doing this. And
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean their
wow,
distribution is so strong. Like they could bring out one product and it could be worth billions of dollars, like just like that. But it's just beyond me how they like the transcription thing just blows my mind. Like everyone else has solved this. I mean, I can solve this on my own computer, but like myself, like what are they doing? Do you think they just don't want to spend the money because it costs money to actually run a transcription?
I can't imagine. Like the fact that they're so absent in this world is just shocking to me. I,
Yeah, I mean
and
they do
maybe
have
I mean,
considerations
for
though.
2 years we said Google, what the hell's going on with Google, and now
Yeah.
they are just looking like the behemoth.
That's right.
And
Like distribution it matters, man. But distribution is almost as important. Like it is as important as product. Like, these guys have such immense distribution strength. Like, they throw like big tech is amazing what they've done for the world. But I would love more disruption there. They really can bully people. They can really bully what goes on. In this tech landscape. Even though in a lot of cases they've created it. Um, but the world stops when these companies like throw a keynote. Like that's it's like that the tech world does anyway. Like it's just all you see and read about. Like that's pretty hard to break down. It's pretty hard to break through in that. You know.
yeah, well, I mean, I've been kind of a champion of Perplexity, since the day they came out, and I
Mm.
watched that Google keynote, and I just kind of went, wah, 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 it's like sad
Yeah.
trombone noise for Perplexity, because I
Yeah.
just think, Google now has the products to match their distribution, and
Mm.
that's game over, I think.
Yeah.
Which is
The
sad for me because it's like I really think they've done some really innovative stuff, and it's a
Yeah.
it's a really good product, but you just can't compete when Google is providing an integrated product that is now just as good in apps you already have installed. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
beat that?
Yeah. I know. I know. I heard some stats about Perplexity the other day, which are kind of wild. Like I think their revenue is sitting around close to 40 million. That's it, 40 million annually. And their costs are about 65 to 70 million. So they're losing like $30 million a year. And look, they're in growth mode. They're trying to grow. There's probably a lot of marketing expense there. I think their AWS fees were like obscene. Um, but they have $800 million in the bank. $800 million is how much they've raised, and it's just sitting in that's their sort of cash pile. So
From a company that's losing 30 million a year.
yeah, so like I don't know, they could be anything. They could be anything. I mean, you can do a lot with
Yeah.
$800 million. Like maybe you don't want to compete with Google, but maybe you want to like niche into something else. But I think I thought I heard they were raising again, so like they may even get more money. Like I don't know, they must have some sort of secret sauce there. But
Yeah.
$30 million of $30 or $40 million of revenue annually for a company that has had that much visibility from them, for is very, very low. I think like very, very low. I mean, I canceled my subscription. I just wasn't using it. I mean, even ChatGPT's search functionality just ruined it for them. I think for me, like, or made it harder for them because I'm already in ChatGPT, so I just click on search and boom, I get like a search.
Yeah.
So, um, the problem with AI, by the way, with the online universe and why informational searches are just never coming back is that I never click out of these AI things. Like I very rarely do. Like I would never, I click out, okay, maybe I would click out a few times, but it's for very product based things. It's like, can you help me find a product that helps me do this? And then, yes, okay, I'll click on a link there. But for anything informational, I don't feel like any of the references add any additional value over what the AI is actually spitting out, first go. These AI systems and platforms are nowhere near as favorable to outside sources as they once were. Like even if you're searching for news on ChatGPT, right? Are you clicking out to the actual news site to actually view the news? Like you're just reading the summary in ChatGPT, aren't you? Or whatever you're using.
Well, I think a great example of that is, did you see that try on feature that Google had for
Yes, I did.
clothes?
Yeah, in the highlights. Yeah, I saw
And
that. Yeah,
it's like, what that tells me is they don't want you leaving for shopping. Like they want you to
yeah,
stay in that ecosystem and you try it on and then there's a button to click to buy it. And you never leave to go out to Amazon.
yeah. Another crazy stat I heard the other day. Did you know that Google 10 years ago was making 20 billion a quarter 10 years ago? They now make 90 billion a quarter
Wow.
in 10 years. And Google was big 10 years ago, but they now make 4.5 times per quarter in revenue.
Where's the money coming from? Is it still from
I think
search?
like uh, 3/5 was like search ads, 3/5 or something, and then like so I think it was, yeah, something like that. So what's 90 billion times four is 360 billion or something. Um, yeah, so like I think search was maybe like 200 billion or something, and the rest is the whole, like they're a big enterprise cloud provider and stuff like that. So they
Right,
got they
right.
got a lot of businesses. But yeah, isn't that amazing? I mean, I
I
think
bet.
Microsoft's like not that dissimilar. But the other thing about big tech, right? They have so much pricing power. It's unbelievable. Like they're so embedded. They can just jack up the price by 5% tomorrow and just no one blinks. They know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft increased Power BI pricing by 40% in like out of no, was it 40% or more? Like, I don't know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
40%. And people were championing it. They were like, this is okay. This is fine. The pricing power of these guys is just so strong. Like, you increase the cost of doing a query to their cloud servers by X%. I mean, no one would even notice. No one even notices. It's just like a tax. And this is what will happen with AI, tax on intelligence. I mean, they'll increase it by 1 cent a query and you won't even know.
It's one of those things where I don't think they had any idea how to price this stuff initially. And it's interesting to see the way it's kind of, everybody's still anchored to that $20 a month, but now
Mm.
it's kind of like, Claude has $100 a month, OpenAI has $200 a month, Google now is 250 a month, and it's like they're kind of learning that, oh, we kind of gave away the farm at that $20 anchor point. And
Mm. Mm.
um the interesting thing is that when you run Open Router through like root code, it keeps a little counter at the top and it shows you what your spend is. And so, it runs out to like four decimal places because for the mini models, you can just run and run and run and run and run before you
Yes.
even get a penny.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
your point about, kind of this tiny, tiny, tiny little tax that, doesn't on a daily basis sometimes add up to a penny.
Mm.
But you've got billions of people doing that. And it's like, you know, it's fascinating to me because it's like, you know, I think that I think that morning brief now costs me about like 1.7 cents a day to run,
Right.
but it's kind of
That's
like,
so that's mind blowing, isn't it?
but you think about it, like if everybody starts doing that, you know,
AI and like is the best business model ever created. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Like it is cloud on steroids. Like it is this is what they're all running for. This is why they're all building these server farms. That's why they're building Stargate. It is long term the best business model ever. I mean, we are going to be immersed. It's going to be it's energy. It's just going to be everywhere. I mean, Sam Altman has been saying this from the beginning. This is what exactly what he's been saying. And that's why the ones with all the money right now and all the capital and they're building the infrastructure. I mean, man, I just cannot think of a better business, like a better revenue generating opportunity than this, like for these big tech
if
guys.
you own the compute.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you because there's a lot of upfront capital spend you have to make, right? But who else can do it? Like no one else can do this,
Right.
Like no one has the money. Like Google making $350 billion a year. Like, they're the only ones who can do it. Same with Microsoft. And that's why you got to give a lot of credit to OpenAI. You got to give them so much credit. There's just so much negative BS online about them. Yes, they're not perfect, probably personally, and as a business, probably not. But to take on these guys with,
Yeah.
it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. I even just am amazed at the there's a terminology, there's a term about just Sam Altman's like guts, to I mean, he's just got something wired in his brain to like go this big.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
incredible. Like, there's not many people that would go that big, you know, that actual big, and to have the foresight to do that. And he's going big in everything. I don't know if you saw like that video with Johnny Ive. Like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, these guys have created this like cinematic masterpiece just to basically like pat each other on the back and create a
Right.
video
Right.
about it. And I was like, I thought about it after watching. I was like, imagine thinking that big about everything. Like even just introducing like a business partner, you like create this, incredible. I mean, honestly, it was like a movie. Like it looked like a
Oh,
movie.
and I'm checking on this right now, but
Probably
I
cost them
I
like $10 million
believe
to make
I
a 12
believe
minute
there,
video.
if I'm not mistaken, and I want to before I say it, I want to check it because
Like millions. It would have cost them millions to make it that good, right? For a 12-minute clip.
let me just check on something. Um
I like while you're checking, I just was like in awe at the just the thinking big mentality about everything, just about the most stupidest thing, like introducing a business partner. Okay, let's spend $1 million, millions of dollars building a high quality video about it.
let me just check because
So I saw the funniest comment around it is like, could have been an email.
yeah. Well, it didn't actually tell you anything other than
They were
that
patting each
they
other on the
like getting to
back.
know each
They
other's
were they were just
families.
sitting there pontificating while sipping a coffee. I was like, and I just like I get like all the funny comments about it, but it just goes back to like, man, wow, you've got to have just like such guts to like even think big about something as like trivial as that, you know? Some might
And
think that that's ridiculous and that's why we're in a bubble, but I don't. I actually think that is part of this, like why they're going to become $1 trillion business is because that's how they think. What do you
I was
what do you
I,
actually
I
searching
was
for?
I was checking to see because I thought I remembered somebody saying Darren Aronofsky directed that, and it turns out he directed some other short for Google DeepMind. So
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't that one, but I guarantee when I get off here, I'm gonna check that. That was directed by a real filmmaker,
Mm.
unquestionably.
Oh, the whole thing was like a cinematic experience, just watching
Yeah,
two
yeah,
people have coffee.
yeah. Um, We should probably. I still haven't eaten dinner. It's 10 o'clock. But
Oh, sorry, I apologize, but
this has been great. No,
yeah, this has
it's
been
flown
well,
by.
we made up for the lost time. We made up for the lost time today.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
good
thanks,
stuff.
Sam. This was awesome, and I
Yep,
can't wait to
enjoyed
do it
it.
again
Yep,
and see what the world is going to be like 2 weeks from now.
yeah, totally. Okay, take care.